Are you looking for a beginner-friendly way to learn software development? Something that doesn't assume that you can already write software before trying to teach you how to write software? Well, if so, then you may be interested in my new course, a beginner-friendly intro to web development with JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, which I've just published on ccalearn.tech. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's in the course, so there's no mystery and no secret. You'll see exactly what's in there lesson by lesson, so you'll know everything you're going to get if you decide to purchase the course. If that sounds good to you, let's go take a look. If you come to the CCA Learn homepage, you'll see that we have the list of courses. Right now, I've only got the first one up, so that's the only one you'll see. So let's go ahead and click on that. Now we get the landing page for the course itself, a little description at the top. I'll resume the course in a second so you can see what it actually looks like. But let's come down here and take a look at the summary. Okay, so to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Jeff Ammons. I am a software architect. I have worked for lots of companies, both large and small. I have worked at everything from startups to running my own company to working at very large corporations. And they've all been good. I will say there are pros and cons to each one of those. A lot of times when you see these sort of courses, the person is angling that, unless you're at a startup in, Silicon Valley, there's no point in being a programmer. I don't agree with that. I think that you can have a really good life as a software developer in most places. The one thing that will be the deciding factor is internet speed. This is the one thing that will probably tether you more than anything else, is because it's really hard to be a professional software developer without access to high-speed internet. However, not everyone who takes this course wants to be a professional high-end software developer. Some of you may be thinking, I'd like to have my own website and I want to learn how to do it. I want to build it. That's great. I started software development as a hobby. It was only after I had done it for a while as a hobby that I realized, maybe this would be a good way to make a living. And so I still do it for fun. It's something that gives me pleasure. I find it very relaxing. Whenever I'm deep into code, almost a Zen-like experience. I can have hours go by without realizing it. That it almost becomes a form of meditation for me personally. So whatever your reason, whatever your goals, whether you want to be a high-end software developer, or you want to do something for yourself personally, or you want to do something for your own small business, this course is a really good place to start for a beginner-friendly intro to web development. We can see that there are 76 lessons, and you'll see what lessons are in just a second, and there are 14 hours of video content. It's broken up into the following sections: an introduction up here and welcome, an intro to HTML, an intro to CSS, an intro to Git and GitHub, a project called the Hometown Visitor's Guide, the intro to JavaScript, and if we show more, we see it's intro to JavaScript in the browser, building a sentence generator and an adventure game with JavaScript in the browser, data structures in JavaScript, a JavaScript project, and then what's coming next. So these are essentially chapters, and the lessons are inside. So if we open up Intro to HTML, you can see that some of these are text-based, some of these are videos, some of these are PDFs of the slides, for instance. So there's a variety of different kinds of lessons, including things like quizzes. Let's talk for a second about why I've made it in this structure. So as you enter into web development, HTML is going to be the first thing that you need, because you can think of that as the skeleton of the creature that you're trying to work with here. HTML represents this kind of the structure and the content. CSS represents how you make it look however you want it to look. And JavaScript represents how you make actions happen. It's how do you make something happen. And if you look at the three of these, JavaScript is the actual programming language. HTML is a structured language, basically. It's a way to lay out content and structure. CSS is a design language. It is a way to say things like, I want everything that's a header in my website to look a certain way. I want it to be a certain font. I want it to be a certain color, certain size. And that way, if you want to change all the headings in your website, you change the one CSS setting, and hey presto, it changes everywhere as soon as someone refreshes their browser. And JavaScript is the way that you put interactivity in there. You can build entire applications in the browser, and we'll see how to do that in this course. So let's go back up and tell it I want to resume the course so you can get a feel for what it looks like when you take one of the courses. So at the top, you can see it's going to tell you what % you've completed an individual section here. So the first one is our intro, and we have our welcome to aspiring, hopefully not expiring, software developers. Down this page, it's just some information. This is me introducing myself and telling you a little bit of what's going into this course and why I call it beginner friendly. The next one is going to be the secret origin story, and that is where I tell you where this all came from. And where this all came from was the coding bootcamp curriculum that I created several years ago for the coding bootcamp that I ran. And this curriculum helped a number of people to go where they wanted to go in life. It helped them to get a job as a software developer. I had some folks who were working in warehouses who took my boot camp and then went on to have successful careers as software developers. I had someone who wanted to go to grad school and study computer science, and he needed a background. He already had a bachelor's degree, but to get into the master's program, he needed to pass certain tests, and my curriculum helped him to do that. So there was a wide variety of folks who took the curriculum. Now, to be clear about what's here, this is me taking that curriculum and breaking it up into individual courses, where before it was one 6-month-long, very intensive course. I'm now breaking it into a more beginner-friendly approach, where I can say, instead of signing up for a coding bootcamp and taking 6 months out of your life and paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $14,000, $15,000, now you can say, I'm a beginner. I would rather spend something in the $100, $120 range and try out a small bit at a time and see if I like it. So the idea here is, if you enjoy this course, come back and take the ones that I'm going to build in the future. So that's the secret origin story. Next, where does it fit in the overall curriculum? This is where I talk about what comes next. So in the course of this course, you will learn the very fundamentals of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You'll also learn the basics of how to work with Git and GitHub. So let's come down to the intro to HTML. If we look through the courses you're going to get here, you're going to get a section on the tools you need. And I'm going to walk you through how to install a lot of these. But for the most part, they're applications. You install them the way you install other applications. You're going to get Node.js, Visual Studio Code, which has become pretty much the dominant text editor in the industry right now. We have Git and you have GitHub. You'll set up you don't download GitHub really. You set up an account with the GitHub service so that you'll have a place to put stuff. Once you get into the lessons, you'll understand what this all means. So, this is an intro to the intro course. So don't feel like you need to understand these things right now, but you'll just follow along these instructions. There are some optional stuff. For Windows, you're going to need something for the command line or the terminal. You hear it referred to different ways, but under Windows, if you have Windows 10 or before, you'll need to install something called the Windows Terminal, which is a much upgraded experience over what we used to do in the Windows world when working at the command line. If you've got Windows 11, it's already included. There's something called Posh Git, which is just an add-on that makes a nicer environment for working with Git in Windows. And then there's some other stuff like the Adobe Color Wheel, which is just a thing that you'll see in the CSS section. Will help you pick colors that work well together. So if we go down here, the first video is how the web works.
And friends, this, my friend, is the internet. No one knows what it is, so when we draw systems on a whiteboard,
this is me introducing the very beginnings of how the internet works. Because one of the things that I believe is that's very helpful as a developer to not just know how to put some code together, but to understand what's happening underneath. If you've never looked at the web beyond looking at something in the browser and instead dove down to how does it get to the browser? What's the browser doing? Where's it coming from? Those are the kind of questions I try to cover in this intro section here. And you can download and look at the slides if you want to see them offline. One of the things that's kind of a little awkward is that I did some of the animations in here by having lots and lots of slides. But that's just how that works. Next, we have something I talk about.
Now that we've talked a little bit about the web and the
Next, I talk about the HTML standard itself, and then we have the slides. So you'll see this a lot. There will be, if it's a video where I used slides, you'll have access to the slides so that you can refer to them offline later without rewatching the whole video. Then we talk about a video on making a basic Hello World web page. After that, we have It's Your Turn. And this brings up a very important point. My philosophy on teaching you to be a web developer is to teach you a few things, then give you a project to build so that you can use what I just taught you. I don't think there is a better way to learn software development than writing software. It is, the analogy I've always used is playing piano. You can read books, watch videos, and all kind of lessons on how to play the piano, but until you sit down at the piano and start practicing, you're not really learning to play the piano. You're learning the theory of the piano maybe, but that's all. And the same is true for software development. It's a skill, and you need to use a skill to get good at it. And so that's what I try to bake into this course at every step is learn a little bit, build something with it. Learn a little bit more, build something with what you just learned plus what you've already learned. And you'll see all down through here, that's what you're going to be doing. Next, we get to adding links to go to other pages. Then you're going to have your turn will be update the little Hello World page you created a second ago and now put links to go between pages. Adding images plus basic navigation. So how do you get pictures on your web page? Then we get to your turn again. Now you're going to add some pictures. So you're building a little project as you go through this chapter, starting with a basic Hello World, and you're adding some more pages, you're adding links between pages, you're adding images to the pages. And now we get to some homework video where we talk about, what you need to build. And it leads into this next one, your turn to build some website. Now you're going to start building actual website. It's going to be small, but it's going to be an actual website. You're going to do, create 3 simple web pages of the topic of your choosing. So now you're going to use what you just learned about how to build web pages to build a little small website. Then after you do that, you're going to create a simple website that has at least 5 pages on the topic of your choosing and includes links to navigate from page to page. Then we're going to have you create a simple choose your own adventure style story. Because if you think about, if you've never seen the choose your own adventure books, they were books that you would read a page and at the bottom it would say, if you want to do this, go to page 12. If you want to do that, go to page 36. And so you were able to chain together a different version of the story each time that you went through the book, depending on the choices that you made. Well, that's nothing more than hypertext, the ability to link from one page to another. So using what you've learned up to this point, you can create a reasonable little experience like that that replicates a choose your own adventure story. Next, we have a quiz. I'm not going to show you that because you'll cheat. You'll go and look them up. The quizzes aren't really graded, and this is a course that you do at your own pace. And so the quizzes are for you, not me. I'm not going to go look at your results on the quizzes. I might, but I'm not likely to go look at everybody's results on all the quizzes. They're there to help you figure out, have I learned what I needed to learn? Is it sticking in my head? Honestly, I don't favor quizzes as much as I do projects. I am a firm believer that it is more important that you can use what you've learned to build something than to answer specific questions about it. But still, quizzes can help you to understand where you are. Now we have a zip file you can download. In the course up till now, you have watched me build things, and then you've gone and replicated them in the video. So now you can download the files that have all the folders with all the files in it that I built that you watched me build in the videos. We have a few more things here. We talk about HTML entities, but that's enough for now. Let's look at CSS. We go to the next one is an intro to CSS, and we're going to have some videos here. An intro where we talk about what is CSS, how does it work. We're going to have the lesson slides, and just so you understand, I'm not clicking on the video ones right now because they start playing automatically. And so I'm showing you the slides instead. But this is where we get into talking about what is CSS, and we go through a number of different things, and we learn quite a bit just here. Now, the next one I say don't panic, because once you start looking at web pages in CSS, you're going to see a lot of stuff that looks kind of funky. There's a specific code form that has been used to represent colors, and it's a bit of a brain bender if you haven't looked at it before. And so that's why I'm saying don't panic. You're not going to have to always put them together this way, but you need to understand how it works, because odds are good you're going to work on someone else's web stuff that does use it. So that's where this next video comes in, and I'll walk you through, the warning. This is complicated stuff, but you don't have to really learn it yet. I wanted to just give you like I said, a beginner-friendly intro to it. We go into some other stuff here I'm not going to describe because that's what the whole lesson is, but intro to the box model, background, colors, and fonts. Now we get to the your turn, and you're going to take what you did in the HTML section, and now you're going to put styles to it, and you're going to change the colors, the fonts, all that kind of good stuff. Then we learn about things like margin, padding, and more about the box model. I'll just say this about the box model itself. In CSS and HTML, it's how you put things next to each other and stack them. In later courses, we'll learn how to go from having things always be stacked as boxes down the page to being able to put them side by side, overlap one in front of the other, all that kind of stuff. But that's not a beginner-friendly intro, so I'm not going to cover it in here. That comes in a later project. We get to your turn, and now we are going to take apart the zip file up here where where you have all of the sample code I wrote. And you're going to go through it and look at it, learn from it. Then you're going to try to replicate it yourself. You're going to build some of the same things based on what you watched me build. Then we get to the last one, which is your turn, styling your project with CSS. And this is where you're going to take the stuff that you've built in the past, and you're going to apply the CSS style and update it and make it really look a lot better. Next, we get into Git and GitHub. I do the overview of source control with Git and GitHub, which is over an hour-long video in and of itself. Then we go to a demo of working with Git and GitHub, and this will include using something called GitHub Pages so that you can take your what we would consider a static website, which means it's just HTML and CSS files, and you can publish them to the world for free from GitHub. And that's how we're going to publish in this course. In the next course that we do, we'll see publishing interactive websites. And so that will require an actual server, which is a much more complicated thing to do. So for this beginner-friendly intro, we're going to skip that and just use GitHub Pages. Now, let's look at the your turn. So now we're going to learn to set up your GitHub account, creating what we call repositories, making projects, pushing stuff up and down, keeping versions, the basics of using Git and GitHub. Now we get to a big milestone. This is your first real, what we would call portfolio project. A portfolio is your way of showing the world what you can do. And so you're going to want to build up a portfolio, and it's going to be on GitHub, spoiler alert. You'll also have your own website, and you'll link to it, but you'll keep the stuff in GitHub. That will allow you to make it public and let people see not only what you've built, but how you built it. So this one is going to be creating a hometown travel guide. This is something that was really fun to do in the live course, because we took a day and I sent the students out all over the little town we were located in to take photos and make a website about the town itself. And so what I want you to do is do the same thing. Do a website about your hometown. It can be serious, it could be sentimental, it could be funny. You may do a parody, about the fact you don't like the place that you're living, or however you want to do it. Do what you want to do and use GitHub to publish it. And like I said, that was a milestone, because the next thing we're going to do is dive into JavaScript. And JavaScript is the first real programming language we're going to see. A programming language, I'm not going to go into the technical definition of a programming language, but from our beginner-friendly perspective, a programming language is how you tell the computer to do stuff, how to make decisions, essentially, and to store information and think of the world as data. So the first thing we're going to do is the intro here, and it's going to have the video intro to JavaScript, and we're going to talk about kind of the history of JavaScript and why it is the way it is. Then we're going to get into creating a hello world. It's an ancient tradition amongst programmers when you start a new programming language to create a project that says hello world. It literally just puts hello world on the screen, and it demonstrates that you have everything installed properly, and then you have at least a concept of the ideas of the minimum piece that you can do with this programming language. And that's why we do that simple one, because you don't want to go build a giant project and then find out things aren't installed right or you don't understand it. So it's a starting place, and that's where we will start. Then we get to your turn, and you're going to write a hello world JavaScript program. Then we're going to have another quiz. Then we're going to talk about variables and loops. Whoops, I clicked the video. It was about to start. Caught it just in the nick of time. Variables and loops are how we how we make a program do stuff. I'm not going to go into the details now, because that was a 76-minute lesson, and you probably don't want to sit through a 76-minute lesson while you're trying to determine whether or not you want to proceed with the course in the first place. Now, instead of giving you a zip file to download, I'm giving you a GitHub repo where I've pushed the stuff that you saw me working on. So now you can go out there and see it. But I also give you the zip file if you don't want to go there. We get to the your turn, and now you're going to create a GitHub repo, and you're going to create your hello world, and you're going to do some additions to it. You're going to do things like use a loop to make it count up to 10 or whatever. There's a number of things. We have different projects that you're going to do here, and I kind of describe them. And then you get some homework as well. And the homework at this point is redo what you just did. Do it multiple times. If you think about, whether it's playing the piano or learning a sport, there's repetition involved, and it's by doing the thing over and over that you get to the point that it's not a struggle to do it. It's something that becomes second nature. And so that's what we're doing here. Next, we go intro to JavaScript in the browser. Up to this point, we've done command line JavaScript. Now we're going to put it in the browser. So we're going to put together some of what we did in HTML and CSS, and now we're going to start using JavaScript for it. And this is where it gets really fun and interesting, because now we have a place where we can see things on the screen rather than just have text coming out. We're going to go down through here. We're going to get to JavaScript in the browser part 2. We're going to get to your turn, and now you're going to have you're going to create a web page, and it's going to have a button. You click the button, and it's going to randomly put back a greeting. And that is going to be the basis of some things that come later. The next project you're going to do is a tip calculator, so that you can put in what the check amount was, put in what you want the tip percentage to be, and it will calculate how much the tip would be. This is someone who is a really high tipper. I'm not sure where they were eating, but it was probably, I'm hoping, very good meal at that rate. Next, we have a dice roller, and this is where it's going to be your turn to build a little dice rolling application where you click roll, and it will pop in the image of the number that was rolled. And that is that chapter. Now we go down to building a sentence generator and an adventure game with JavaScript in the browser. The random sentence generator is going to be something like this. You can put in a person's name and say make a sentence, and then it's going to pick from a set of different options and put together a new sentence based on that. It's a fun little toy, essentially. Next is an adventure, and it's going to be your turn to make an adventure game. Remember what I said earlier about the choose your own adventure and using just HTML and links? Well, now we take it to the next step. What if instead of having pages and links, you did the whole thing in JavaScript, so that now not only can you pick to go forwards, you can say things like here, fight the giant gopher. And now randomly you can determine whether or not the player was able to successfully defeat the giant gopher. So those are things that you can do here, and you can expand on that as much as you want. Next, we get to data structures in JavaScript. This one's a bit difficult because it's hard for me to describe to you what data structures are until you've had the other parts of the course, because this is where it starts to get into more computer science and a little more of how can you build more advanced things with JavaScript. And we will go through and learn. It's like here, I called it Intro to JavaScript Data Structures, where to put your stuff. And so this is where you're going to go through and you're going to learn things like, what is a variable? A variable is something into which you can put a value in, or attach a value. In this case, I'm saying there's one called customer name, and that's going to equal the word Jeff. Now I can use the variable customer name instead of having to put in physically the word Jeff. And so then we say, but what if we want to do last names? Now, instead of doing this, we're going to say first name and last name. And this is going to go down through a whole lot of stuff, and we're going to learn things about what are functions and how do functions work. The stuff that you really use when doing programming to be able to do things in an abstract way. So as an example, now you could have, instead of a variable that's just a person's name, you can have a variable that's a whole customer. And that customer can have a first name, last name, and a function. I'm going to have to tell you a bit about a function. It is a way to encapsulate some code where you can pass some things in, get some things out. That's all you need to know to understand what you will learn when you get here. But that's a quick look at that. We're going to make some applications using JavaScript data structures. This is a really sad one, and I'm embarrassed to show you this one. But these were drawings I did live in the class as I was recording it, and I will at some point turn this into a nicer looking thing. But this is literally just so that you could refer back to what you saw in the video as I was drawing it. Now for this one, you're going to create a little customer management app that is the simplest version of a customer management app that's possible. You put in the salutation, first name, and last name all as text, add the user, and it's going to keep it in memory and write them out down here as a list. The thing to know is, in this course, we don't learn how to store these things anywhere. So if you refresh your browser, they're all gone. You can't really use this for a customer management list for your business unless you want to keep the application running forever on that page and never refresh the browser, which I don't recommend. Later, next course, you'll learn how to save it on the server. Got some additional reading, and the last thing here is the JavaScript project. Like we did the portfolio project with your hometown above for HTML and CSS, we do something for JavaScript. It's going to be up to you what you build. So as you see, there's a lot of things that you could build that you've learned already at this point, but it'll be up to you what you want to do. And I talked to you down here about, maybe you want to make it more than just one application. Maybe you want to make several JavaScript applications and link them together into a website that you publish on your GitHub pages. That would be a great portfolio starter, wouldn't it? So let's see what comes next. The very last thing is where I congratulate you for making it this far and talk about what's coming. I've kind of already talked about what's coming in the next courses, so I won't continue it here, but I hope this gives you a good overview of what's in the course and helps you make the decision, is this the approach that you want? One of the things I would advise as you look at different courses that are on the internet is you want to look at what's the background of the instructor. Is the instructor someone who has experience in the field. Is this someone I should listen to? The second thing is this someone I like listening to? If you like the sound of my voice, you like the way I teach, that's great. I'm the person you should sign up for. Someone else you think you enjoy better, go sign up for theirs. But that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this intro, and I hope you will decide to pick up the course, and hope you have great success with it.